Hello, Warriors, TGIF. Everyone made it through this risk-off week. A dollar bounce. As you can see on my shirt, hope. Okay, now hope is important. You need to have hope in your life. It's the oxygen in your life, but it's a carbon monoxide in your trading, or is it carbon dioxide? Whatever, it's not good. Replace hope with stop losses. Okay? Then you're never put into a position where you have to hope. The market takes you out, you take the loss, you reassess. If you still like the trade, doesn't mean you can't go back into it with better timing, better structure on the trade. So that's my homily for today. As far as taking risk, I'm just waiting for TradeGATEHub to light up here, so the guys on Twitter could also see what's going on. I'll give it another minute or so. A little delay here. Let me maybe refresh it. Maybe that does it. Not yet. Okay. So we had a PCE today. It was still really kind of a non-event. It was in line, so not a lot of moves. Okay, I'm going to go right to the markets now. All right. First of all, want to address the yen. The yen has come out of the hole. It was a nice trade. It was done at around the 48.90 level. And there you go. You have some nice profits here. And, we might be pulling back, but it is a reversal week. The dollar also trying to pull back a little bit, but it is a reversal week. So I think there's more left. We have the tariffs ahead of us. And I want to talk about some of the forecasts that were made over the last few weeks. So there's gold. So when I was bearish up in this range with divergences, a lot of people, thought that I was, the wrong way. And how can you be bearish gold and yields are coming down and central banks are buying? Well, now we're getting closer to a long entry, but this was a pretty big call. And what I was more bearish on was silver. And that was from up here only a few weeks ago, 32 and a half to 33. I mean, that's $2 in silver. We're approaching a major trend line here. So this was also a successful call. And then I talked about if we had risk off and gold corrected at the same time, that it probably made sense to take off some of your minor positions, which also got hit hard during risk off. And I talked about the potential of about 38 on a pullback in GDX. Newmont has been even weaker, making new lows. The silver stocks, they've been under pressure. We're almost at new lows on First Majestic. So there you go. That was another good call. Now, something else I mentioned yesterday that happened shortly after the broadcast is I talked about the S&Ps being in a descending triangle. Okay, so there's a triangle. And I said, we'll have a breakdown at 59.20. And back here, I said we had a false breakout and this was a failure sell. So, I had some Apple puts. I've been in and out of NVIDIA puts. And if you're bullish, and we are extremely oversold, you need, the market needs to get back over 59.20 to stabilize itself. Some other calls that worked out were, talked about the three drives that we had in the banks. They've snapped back. B of A, not as much. And then the other big call was a descending triangle that we had in Bitcoin. Okay, been talking about that for a while, that could be a sign that liquidity is drying up. Here's the formation. And what's interesting is we came within, what's this low here? 78. So the target off this formation was about 75, but nothing's in cement. So I'd start watching action here, go to your intraday charts and start looking for divergences, which we're starting to get, but I don't like divergences at 20. So we need a rally first and maybe bring it up to the RSI to 50 to neutral or so, and then get one more flush towards 75, and maybe we'll have an RSI divergence with a reading over 30. There were a couple of stocks that I said to pay attention to before we had the really had the big bloodbath in the S&Ps, and it was another descending triangle. So what you'll find is during different periods in the market, you'll see the same formation popping up in different asset classes, different stocks. But I was showing the XRT as this being an important level, the 78 level. Had a nice breakdown there too. So let's just take a quick look at some of the MAGAs here and see if we're getting any kind of bounce. We're still heading lower. Apple has held up the best and trying to put in a reversal candle. That's going to be important. Can Amazon give us some type of turn? It's putting in a higher low. Meta trying to hold the low from early in the week, so that's somewhat constructive. That with Nasdaq making new lows yesterday, some of these have held up. Google hasn't, but wow, what a break in Google! Another false breakout and back to major support. Here's Netflix. You know, has confirmed highs, still not looking terrible. Microsoft just can't get out of its own way, actually broke down under the 397 level. So this also is negative for the market unless Microsoft could recapture this breakdown level. So, I mean, there's a daily. If I, if I go out and look at it longer term, this is all the way back to the August lows. So a lot of markets are going back towards that August low. NVIDIA on the verge of a breakdown, very negative candle. Can we hold this support level? I don't know. I would say that we're probably headed at least to August lows, just like what we saw in the prior chart, Microsoft. I think that this is a big problem for the market. Okay, so AI is kind of the bubble at this time. I do have to say that I saw a tweet that was very interesting, and it's the most bearish sentiment was, and that was part of the rationale for the bulls that, there's too many bears in the, investors surveys, too many bears sentiment wise, and yet we have the, happening at a top. Normally, for example, in the S&Ps, you'd have euphoria up here. You didn't. So sometimes sentiment could be right. So if that was what you were hanging your hat on, it didn't work. So I mean, we're already on the greedometer at extreme fear, but this formation does measure down towards this moving average 5720, which is a measured move off the descending triangle. So we'll see what happens. Silver, there you go. 3050, is this going to be an important area for silver to hold? If it doesn't, then I do think we're to see a 27 print. So I believe that I've covered almost everything. WTI is popping from the 68 level. I would love to see it rally maybe back to 72 because I still think we're going to flush this 66 level out and trade to 62, the weekly line. I've been patiently waiting for many months. So it looks like we're headed that way. And I believe that's a wrap for me. So next week we'll see what kind of follow through we get. We'll get the tariff announcements. So do you know how sometimes stocks will rally into an earnings report, and it's a good earnings report, and the market will open higher and then fade after that? kind of buy the rumor, sell the fact. Well, perhaps what we have going on here in the markets, since everyone knows the tariffs are coming, is that it's going to be a sell the rumor, buy the fact. And then maybe we get some type of recovery before we get to objectives. Again, looks like it's trying now. So for the most part, some or maybe even most of the tariffs that are going to be implemented, at least at this time, because they're going to be ever changing, are priced into the market. So I think next week's a big week for to see if the market continues its free fall or not. And even if we are headed sharply lower, and I don't like to bring out these targets because they scare people. But if you recall, many weeks ago, I broke out this weekly chart of the S&Ps. It's kind of busy with all the retracements here, but it was the megaphone formation, and actually it comes in around 5,000, 4,900. If that happens, there's going to be so many bargains. It's going to be unbelievable. So we'll see what happens here in the next week. But for the most part, I kept you out of metals. Maybe you got short, got you out of the short side of the dollar before we've had this pop on in a reversal week, and got you long some yen, US dollar yen earlier this week. Told you about retail. For the most part, a lot of calls. I called the hit rate pretty high over the last few weeks. One of my reasons for being bearish silver, which I talked about in these videos, as well as um, on X and other social platforms, is that part of the decline in silver was going to be due to risk off, which brings me back to the theme that it's still all one market. Gold and the market went up together, and other things, dollar weaker. All right, so everything went up together and everything's come down together. And the fulcrum of that is mainly the dollar. So keep an eye on the dollar. Uh, if we're going to get a rally in the dollar, that means, there's still time to wait to buy the silver. The gold silver ratio, you know, not a bad week. May have 94 in it now. So 94, 95 up towards these highs. And that still favors gold over silver until we peak up here. So I hope you're learning some things. Maybe you caught a couple of trades. I invite you to join us here in TradeGATEHub. Watch how busy Mike is already and all the action that's happening in here. Okay, so you need to come in here, especially if you're a stock trader. Mike does a lot more trading than I do. I'm more of a swing trader. Mike is there all the time in this room, okay? Posting high quality posts from his curated social media feed, as you can see. Plus, he's tracking option flow with sweeps and wise guys trades. So you can't be lazy in this business. You have to be around and be taking in information, processing it, and executing. But above all, everyone, remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See you in the room. See you next week. Should be an interesting March. Beware of the Ides of March coming up right around the lunar eclipse. And that's why people call me a lunatic. So adios, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you next week.